So the South African Teachers Union in the Western Cape has issued a warning of a looming strike if their ongoing dispute with the Provincial Education Department remains unresolved. This threat comes against the backdrop of significant job cuts within the education sector, with over 2,400 educators' posts set to be eliminated starting in January 2025. The impending cuts have sparked outrage and concern among educators, contract teachers, have been notified through a recent circular. The DA in the province has called on the government to implement other measures to solve this issue. For more on this, we are joined by the Western Cape Education Department spokesperson or communications director, Bronagh Hammond, as well as Veli Okamp, who is the spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance. A very good morning to both of you, and thank you so much for making time for us. Bronagh, I want to start off with you because there was a statement that the Education Department has issued after the reports of the job cuts, and the argument is that these are not jobs that will be cut, but rather contracts that will not be renewed.
Yes, yeah, it's not, no one's been fired or retrenched. Basically, we've got a natural attrition rate in the province of about over 2,000 posts every year that leave the system due to retirement or, resignation, or death, whatever the reason may be. So there are posts and vacancies available that we will be able to then look at where there are excess teachers in terms of the process that we're going through now, and those teachers can be placed in those vacant posts at other schools, and that will be the majority of them, and with just the remaining maybe contract posts, which their contracts are expiring on the 31st of December, and then those just will not be renewed in some cases.
Okay, how many contracts will not be renewed?
Well, we'll have to look at the process, because it was only on Friday the schools received their post allocations. And then they will determine, who, let's say it's a critical post that's on contract. They may put another teacher that's permanent in excess, and they will be moved to another school where there is a vacancy and keep that contract post. So it's dependent on the school and the needs and the current establishment that they do have and the vacancies they have at that school. So it's just seeing what posts are available, what can we put, which teacher posts can we put in excess. You don't want to lose critical posts when you need those subject teachers available at your school.
Okay, so who are the 2,400?
They will be made up of contract posts, as I mentioned, those that are expiring, and then also teachers will be placed in excess in some instances, and they will be then transferred to another school. They will not lose their jobs.
Okay, so how is this related to money or the budget that the department has and the government has?
So basically in 2023, there was a nationally negotiated wage agreement that was done at national level, and we were informed of the cost increases that we would have to implement in terms of our wages at a provincial level. But we only received 64% of that from Treasury. So we've got a budget shortfall of 36% in terms of that funding. So we have worked very hard. This has hit other sectors like health, of course. They've been hit for the last year. And so we were looking at ways and means to try and avoid what the position we are in today. We managed to do 2.3 billion in savings, but we still got a 3.8 billion shortfall in terms of, to meet, our costs. And that is largely because of the wage increase. So yes, we are fighting for our teachers. This is not a situation that we want to be placed in, that is ideal by any means. We are an education department made up of many educators here that this is a hard decision to make. But at the end of the day, we do not have 3.8 billion in our budget to pay for the costs that we need to function currently.
Okay. Veli, as the Democratic Alliance, what do you believe the alternative is? And of course, the Democratic Alliance also has a member that is part of the executive. The member is a Minister of Basic Education. Have you spoken to her at all?
No, I have not spoken to her with regards to this. We clearly separate between party and state, and she will have her program that she runs with this. I have, however, been in contact with the personnel in her office. I think just to come back so that people understand what is going on. This is not a Western Cape problem. It is, however, an education problem throughout the country, but the problem arose from Treasury side. As Bronagh Hammond said, that the 2023 wage agreement that was signed between public sector workers and government, those money for those increases was not paid over by Treasury to various departments. And in the case of the Department of Education, that now left several provinces with huge shortfalls when it comes to their budgets. As was said now, the Western Cape province will have a 3.8 billion shortfall over a period of 3 years. KwaZulu-Natal will have for this year only a 4 billion shortfall. So you can imagine in KwaZulu-Natal, they are talking about 11,000 plus teacher posts that's in danger of being lost due to the shortfall paid. So from our side, we believe that the steps that must be taken now is that there must be, as soon as possible, discussions between the Minister of Education and the Minister of Finance. I can confirm that her office confirmed to me that she has already convened a meeting of all the different education MECs and ministers throughout the country. And she has also been in contact with the Minister of Finance to address this. This issue is now the problem of the education departments throughout the country, but it arose out of shortfall payments from Treasury. So it is Treasury that will have to come to the party and assist the provinces to sort this out. If Treasury does not sort this out, then provinces will have to do a lot of things to try and minimize the effect hereof. I know for a fact that in the Western Cape, MEC or Minister David Mania has already implemented budget cuts to the effect of 2.5 million rand. But still, even after those budget cuts, there are still a huge deficit. So it is very important also further to note that this is not only about teachers' posts. This shortfall will, in all provinces in the country, have an effect on learner transport. It will have an effect on early childhood development. It will have an effect on the school nutrition program. So there's a lot of issues being affected by this.
Well, as a party that's part of the national government, Veli, what's the alternative that the DA is putting on the table?
Well, I think firstly, we've got to, in all departments throughout government, go and have a look at which projects are there currently that's not yielding results and scrap those policies. If government is in any one of the ministries doing something that's not to the benefit of the people or does not show us that there's a long-term plan with this, cut those budgets, because we can then take that money and pour it into our essential services. If you look at police, nurses, educators, those people are essential. So firstly, budget cuts needs to be done. We are, as a government of national unity, working very hard, and I think we are becoming successful to curb corruption. We've got to stop putting money into the bailing out of state-owned enterprises. If you look at the amount of money that was poured into Eskom over the last 10 years, a fraction of that money would have been able to solve this crisis that we've currently got in the education system. So it's a holistic approach to good, solid management that this government of national unity must take. The fact that the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Education are going to speak to each other shows me that there's a political will to get resolutions for this, and we believe that we will get there.
Okay, and Bronagh, let's go back to the question around the teacher shortage. What is the Western Cape currently standing at in terms of teacher vacancies? And then also, what's the teacher-pupil ratio like? Because with the United Nations recommendation, it is 1 teacher per 20 pupils. What are you standing at currently?
We were at 1:34 as a systems ratio, and that will now go to 1:36 in terms of the increase. In terms of the vacancy rates, I don't have the vacancy rates in the teacher departments on the top of my head right now. I know that at head office, we have made cuts. We've frozen posts. This is part of some of the cost-saving initiatives that Mr. Okamp was talking about in terms of the 2.5 billion savings. We've actually frozen posts. We're all doing other people's jobs here just so that we could save some money. We had a 21% vacancy rate currently at head office and districts. So we are doing everything we can to try and mitigate the budget cuts that we've experienced and the cost of the wage agreement. But unfortunately, it's just not enough. And we are hopeful, and we are literally praying for a budget increase, something to happen in the adjustment budget in October, because we do know that the Western Cape is a growth province. And, when you have growth, you need more teachers, you need more classrooms. And we certainly are praying. We've really cut everything to the bone now. And now we need more funding.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you look at the census 2022 results that came out, they indicate that there is this mass migration to the Western Cape. How is the Western Cape going to deal with an increased population where at the other end you have all of these budget cuts, and currently you say that your teacher to pupil ratio would increase to 1 to 36, which again is above that 1 to 20 recommendation by the United Nations?
100%. If you asked me 2 years ago, where were we? And we were sitting very pretty in the province. We had, we started the Rapid School Build program. We were seeing an increase in classrooms. We had an increase in our teacher posts. Everything was looking good. And then unfortunately last year, for the first time ever in our history, we had midterm budget cuts. And then that just completely decimated our infrastructure plan. And then we hear of the wage agreement, and now we've got a 36% shortfall in terms of that funding. So, we are trying the best we can. We had a vote of confidence in terms of getting extra funding for our Rapid School Build program, which means that that money was ring-fenced, so we can still go ahead with some of the projects, but we've had to cut down on that. And that will, of course, impact, what's going to happen in January next year. We had wonderful plans for the next year. I was very hopeful in terms of teacher learner placement in the province. But unfortunately, this has really just thrown us, and we're just trying our best to try and deal with the costs that have been thrown at us unexpectedly. Yeah.
So Veli is saying that there will be a meeting between the Minister of Education as well as the Minister of Finance, Bronagh. But the unions such as the South African Teachers Union, SATU, they've warned of a strike. Should you go ahead with with implementing this particular proposal and the circular that has been sent to various schools? What's your response to that?
Join us in our fight for teachers. Join us in terms of putting pressure on national government to give us what is owed to us, what we have been shortchanged. That is the answer. If we do not implement this 2,400 reduction in posts, then we won't be able to pay all our teacher salaries in the province. We'll have a budget shortfall. So we need this fund so that we can continue paying salaries, that we can continue having learner transport and so forth. But join us in this fight for our teachers so that we can get the funding we deserve.
Okay. And Veli, as the Democratic Alliance, which of course is also governing in the Western Cape, how then do you ensure, as the political party that is governing in such a province that has also been accused of discriminatory policies when it comes to issues relating to socio-economic conditions that the very, very poor are facing, that once a decision of this nature is implemented, that it doesn't disadvantage children that come from poor schools?
Let me tell you firstly that if you look at the budget of the Western Cape, as well as the metro of the city of Cape Town, both the Western Cape and the city of Cape Town, their expenditure in previously disadvantaged communities is far higher than any other province or any other metro. That is a fact. So there is a large number of people that for political reasons try to still hang a banner around the neck of the DA of not spending in previously disadvantaged communities. That is totally not true. We are the top spenders in the country when it comes to that. We care a lot about the areas where previously disadvantaged people still live in very difficult circumstances. It is challenging to receive the immigration that's taking place. There's a lot of people coming into the Western Cape. That is one of the reasons why we had a problem with the recent census results that was released, because they had an undercount of 31%. And that creates problems for a province like the Western Cape with this huge influx of people by not getting the amount of money that we are supposed to get from national government. So, but still, even though the DA-run Western Cape government is putting the biggest amount of money into these areas, we are underfunded from national government, not only on this issue that we're discussing this morning with regards to finances in education, but we get our equitable share, the division of revenue between parties, between different spheres of government. We do not get that properly in order to fulfill the needs of all the people that are here currently. But still, if you look at the Auditor General report that came out last week, the municipalities in the Western Cape are still the best run municipalities in the country. So we do put in money there. This is a huge problem because our teachers are very close to our heart. How can we build this country if we can't give proper good education to our children? We've got to make sure that our teachers are protected, that they work in an environment that will enable them to, with love for those children, be to the benefit of them.
Thank you so much for making time for us. Vili Oukamp is the spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance, as well as Bronagh Hammond, who is with the Department of Education in the Western Cape.